thank you for coming today and tell you how moved I am to see so many familiar and new faces. Each time it's a true challenge to make it happen, to organize a conference of this caliber with quality speakers and great audience. So I'm proud to stand here in front of you to celebrate the 10th edition of this wonderful event that is maintaining the EU-Israel relationship. It's a real pleasure and a great satisfaction for me and for the entire Cukierman and Catalyst team.
Shalom. Shalom and good morning. I'm very pleased to welcome the 1,000 guests that came from Israel, from Europe, and from all over the world.
I'm also happy to intervene because this is the 10th Go4Europe conference, and I am fascinated by the unbelievable, incredible changes the world has gone through over this long period. Look at the two main international reserve currencies, the dollar and the euro. They both are sick.
And you are, as financial, economic people, are people of details, which is important. Politicians, I believe, should be people of details, but also sometimes it's good to take at the bigger scenery, to take a bird's eye view. Sometimes from 30 feet or 30,000 feet, Yair, I'm sure, knows as a pilot, sometimes it's much clearer.
We continue this year to give awards, Go4Europe Awards, every year for achievements for the relationship between Europe and Israel, and from Israel to the international community, business community around the globe. Last year we have done it to late Hurvitz, and today we are doing it to a brilliant, brilliant guy and a very good friend of mine, Mickey Federman.
With Europe, it's a different ballgame. And in a way, we have more to offer. We, Israelis, have more to offer to the European business community. In Europe, we complement each other. We come with a very advanced technological approach, with the chutzpah Roger spoke about, with the happiness to take risks in development and in investments. And we find in Europe, on those lines, a much more conservative approach.
We had the honor to award the Go4Europe Achievement Prize to late Mr. Hurvitz, Eli Hurvitz, the late father of Chaim. This year, in the memory of Eli Hurvitz, it is our great pleasure to award Teva's scholarship to a small company of Olim Chadashim, of new immigrants to Israel. זה אתה. הוא נותן לך את הפרס. חיים, זה היה שלך. אוקיי. זה בשבילו. Thank you. אתה רוצה להגיד איזה מילה או שתיים?
If you start between buying and seller, the big difference being a seller today, when I sell assets of our group, is more than ever you have to check if the people that want to buy have the money. And this is your smile, but this is a new feeling.
For a short of time of the funds, the price that you will get for your assets are lower. It's maybe good for the buyers, but not as good for the sellers.
On one hand, times are difficult. Companies, certain companies, need to sell. They don't want to sell very often, but they need to sell.
We see many activities, especially in Italy and Germany nowadays, also to a large extent in the Nordic countries, and very much so all over Eastern Europe.
Where is your focus these days? I know, again, it's Asia, but then why Asia? Why not Africa? Why not go back to what you've always done so successfully? Go back to the US, go back to Europe, and cut deals.
Now let's begin the elevator pitches.
We succeeded to miniaturize those elements into a tiny implant, 3 by 4 millimeter. This implant can be introduced into the eye.
We have track record of 10 years to create and nurture companies. It was under the former NGT. We focus on medical device technology.
Dora Media is an international media house with activity span, production of almost 6,000 TV hours.
Window not only generate electricity, but at the same time it reduces the energy consumption of the building, reducing air conditioning costs, reducing artificial lighting costs.
We are in the breast cancer clinical studies. This is not the far future. This is our current implemented.
We have reached clinical trials within a year from operation, sales now in Europe, Israel, and Asia. In 3 years from execution to date has been started.
When you purchase something online, 2 banks are usually involved in the process.
Whether e-commerce brands or publishers, for those businesses not having a functioning mobile site, mean extreme loss in revenues and operation.
The first suite of connected apps that delivers consistent user experience across your Windows 8 desktop and your iPad tablet.
Oil spills, this is a big and huge problem. And it occurs on average 500 times every day throughout the world.
The biggest problem today for online marketers is reaching out for the right media at the right time in a way that will advise.
For phenomenal companies, there is just nothing. So it's obviously always a pleasure to be here.
Of the IPO avenue will be do you see that open in the coming years, or is it closed for at least the Israeli companies that would like to go public on the Euronext or in London? European markets, and the most successful IPOs happen in Germany. It was always easier to raise money, to present Israeli technologies to the German financial community. And
director of an Israeli-based investment firm in cleantech, and I actually want to make a few comments rather than a question, and then maybe get a feedback.
See you later.
This conference is aiming at setting a bridge between the European economy and the Israeli economy. Europe is lacking growth, needs innovation, research and development, and these are things that you find in Israel. The Americans have shown the example. All the big electronic companies are present in Israel, and it would be a very good opportunity for European companies to also develop their presence in Israel and take advantage of the know-how of Israel, and maybe it would help Europe to find back growth, which is so necessary. And on the other hand, Israeli companies have an interest in being in Europe, which is the biggest world consumer market. So for both parties, this conference is a way to establish a bridge between Europe and Israel.
Where the ambassador finished, I think Israel should use much more its soft power in a much more clever way, because Israel is a huge soft power. It's not only tourism, it's impossible not to like Tel Aviv when you are in Tel Aviv, but we have great writers, great musicians, great universities, And these are the things that Europeans really value.
That will entirely resolve the problem. What I do believe is that even today, while we are still fighting the war, both in reality and in international media, and it is part of the war, there is absolutely no doubt about this, it is important to try and push other images into the bank of images that the average citizen of the world holds about Israel.
I think that the image of Israel in who is in the world, and my world was the world of innovation and high technologies and mobile services, is that Israel is leading the world in this arena.
This panel, maybe I take it simplistically, but I take it that this panel is concluding on optimistic views on how to consider that the image of Israel is not so bad and that it can be further improved. So we will conclude this panel and I'm calling Eddie Cukierman for the closing remarks of this one-day Go4Europe conference.
And I reiterate our invitation to the next conference, which is scheduled on 28th of October 2013. And now, let's go for Europe. Bye.